Now, AstraZeneca's top scientist has told Channel 4 News that his company has a commitment to British science that is second to none, presumably including Pfizer. The exclusive interview came as controversy continued to rage over the attempt to take over the firm by the American drug giant, with a new bid expected next week. As our economics editor Faisal Islam reports, the Chancellor today stepped into the row, accusing Labour of failing to meet Pfizer to hear their side of the story. Let's go to Faisal now.
Krish, Britain's biggest takeover is obviously becoming its most controversial too, with the Chancellor accusing to me that Ed Miliband is playing politics, putting politics above the national economic interest, defenders of AstraZeneca suggesting that a cure for cancer might be in jeopardy if the takeover goes through. And we, for the first time, speak to a senior official from AstraZeneca about their commitment to UK science at a time when the UK scientific establishment seems to have come out decisively against Pfizer. It's not the final court for British science, but perhaps just another new beginning. Here in Cheshire, part of our scientific and industrial history, the former ICI labs that then became AstraZeneca's main base, today handed over by the company to the Manchester Business Park, promoting smaller but fast-growing scientific companies as AstraZeneca moves south to the hotspot of Cambridge. The local MP won George Osborne, and this is an extraordinary time in the company's long history, the subject of Britain's biggest ever takeover battle. The Nobel Prize for Chemistry in 1988, awarded to researchers on this site working for AstraZeneca's predecessors. And this debate, the AstraZeneca affair, is all about science, research and development. And today, the Wellcome Trust, Britain's biggest private sector investor in science and the world's second biggest medical research investor, came out with a letter to George Osborne saying that his tax reforms attracting big companies like Pfizer weren't supporting science, but could be detrimental to research and development. The government had originally engaged with the US multinational Pfizer, which is in part attracted by George Osborne's low-tax regime for big pharma. But there's been a backlash by the scientific community against the company's record on supporting innovation, seized upon by the opposition. When you see Pfizer's record, can you really trust them? I mean, in Sweden, in other places?
Well, my interest in this is good British jobs, good British science. That's my sole interest. That's Britain's national economic interest. And we will judge any arrangement, any proposal, any commercial deal against that test, against that. Is it in Britain's interests? And
so
that's
not a cheerleader?
That's what we're pursuing.
There's no bid on the table right now after AstraZeneca rebuffed Pfizer, but more's expected next week around a hearing in Parliament. Astra's top scientist told us, though, in an exclusive interview that his company's commitment to British science could not be any stronger. Can any pharma company make any guarantees about anything these days?
I think when you look at the level of investment that we're making in the UK, the fact that we're building a new facility in Cambridge, I think what better commitment do you need than that? We've looked at our strategy, we've had to focus, and I think we're going to have still a significant investment in the Northwest. We're going to have more than 2,000 jobs in Macclesfield. We're going to have more than 700 jobs in Alderley Park. We have 400 jobs in Speke, in a specialist biologics facility. So our commitment to the Northwest still remains large.
Second to none?
Second to none. And our commitment in Cambridge also remains second to none.
Now, he wasn't talking specifically, obviously, about Pfizer, but implicitly, certainly amongst the scientific community more widely, there is the presumption that an AstraZeneca is better for British science than a Pfizer-Zeneca. This is very specifically down to the oncology. The research is moving from here in Cheshire down to Cambridge, a centre of excellence in cancer research, in oncology, down in Cambridge. Pfizer already has a centre of excellence on the west coast of America. The analysts say it's very unlikely to see a long-term future for both if the Pfizer takeover was to go through. As of yet, no bid on the table, but much is expected next week when the officials are up in front of Parliament on Tuesday.
Thanks, Faisal. Well, our science editor, Tom Clark, is with me. So why are some British scientists afraid of Pfizer?
Yeah, well, AstraZeneca has earned a sort of trusted reputation amongst scientists as a good player in this, what they describe as a kind of ecosystem of R&D. You need big companies to invest, smaller ones to come up with ideas, and a kind of constant nourishment of academic researchers with good ideas coming out of that. Pfizer haven't earned that trust. Their recent history of mergers, some closures in the UK, makes scientists very suspicious of that, to the point that they may come in and actually disrupt hard-won relationships that British scientists have with companies here in the UK. But it seems Pfizer are picking up on that mistrust, because I found out today they've been calling round a lot of our learned societies, our scientific campaigning groups, trying to reassure them, we're not coming to the UK to asset strip AstraZeneca, we're after your guys' brilliance at innovation. You're the most innovative scientists in the world. We want to buy into that. I think scientists are going to take a little bit more persuading than that sort of flattery. I think Pfizer's going to have to come up with some much more concrete assurances for both them and probably the government to smooth this deal ahead if it's going to go ahead at all.
Thanks, Tom.